everyone. In this video, we will be talking about Helm charts, what are they and how to use them. So Helm charts are basically package manager to manage your Kubernetes. It is similar to npm for Node, Composer for PHP and Puff for Flutter. You can search for existing Helm charts that are available publicly, or you can create your own. There are various benefits of using Helm charts which we'll be seeing in our examples. You can check the life cycle of the Helm chart. There are various things, for example, create, install, upgrade, rollback, delete, status and versioning. So there are few requirements before going forward. First is Docker Distop. This will be used to host your local images. Second will be Minikube or Docker Kubernetes. This will be used to create and manage the Docker Kubernetes server or cluster. Third will be kubectl. This will be used to give commands to the Kubernetes cluster. And the fourth one would be Helm chart. You need to install Helm chart on your system to work with the Helm charts. Okay. So there are few important commands that we'll be going through. So Helm create. This will create a new chart for you with all the boilerplate code in it. Helm install will install the chart you created or the chart you found online. So Helm install is used to install an existing chart inside a Kubernetes cluster. Helm upgrade will be used to upgrade the existing charts inside your Kubernetes cluster. For example, if you make any change to your existing chart or a chart you downloaded from internet and you want to make some changes, then you need to do upgrade instead of install. Helm rollback will roll back to the most previous version of the chart you have installed earlier. Helm list will show all the available charts. Helm status will show the status of the chart for that Kubernetes cluster. Helm package and repo add. This is similar to Git. You will be able to see the packages that are inside your system. You will be able to add new repo. Helm delete. This will be used to delete an existing chart that is inside your Kubernetes cluster. Now let's look at the project structure. So inside project structure, the main file from where everything starts is chart.yaml. In chart.yaml, there will be all the necessary details like version of the chart, name of the chart, description of the chart and similar things. We'll be going through this, but let's just have a brief idea right now. Inside templates, there will be all the templates which will be installed in our Kubernetes cluster. For example, deployments, services, ingresses, secrets, config maps, and all of this will come inside templates. We can add our own, we can use the existing one, we can do that according to our need. Inside template, there is something called notes.txt. In this file, you have to put everything that you want to show after a chart has been installed. For example, inside the notes.txt, if I put something like, hey, this chart is installed. So once the chart has been installed using Helm install, this the terminal will show this output that hey, the chart has been installed. In the helper file, there are few functions which would be helpful in creating the template file. We'll look into it after having a look into values. So values is the place which is used mainly for providing the values to all the templates, and this is the main entry point to editing or making modification to all our existing services. Okay, so mainly we'll be dealing with values after creating all the templates. All right. Now let's have a look at a public Helm chart and we will deploy it. So this is a Helm chart that is called MS Hello Web. We'll try to deploy this chart. Okay, now let's try to have a look at the installation. So we need to add a repo in which this chart lies. So let's do that. first let's check if I don't if I have any Kubernetes service running. So as you can see, there are no pods or nodes running right now. Okay, now let's add the Helm repo and install this chart from the repo. Helm install, then the name of the chart I want to keep, that will be sample in this case, and then the chart from the repo. So as you see, the deployment has been done. Now let's have a look at the kube services. So now I have a service, a pod, and a node running. Okay, now let's have a look at our app if we are able to see it. Okay, so as you can see, now we are able to access the app. All right, let's have a look at the values that this chart have, default values. So these are the values the chart is currently using. Okay, now as you can see, the ingress has been disabled right now. So now let's try to override this. Okay, let me just delete this chart first. Helm delete sample. Now all the services will be shut down, so there are no pods or not running. Okay, now let's implement the same chart with our custom values. So we can override the values with the help of set keyword. Okay, now we want to enable ingress. So what we will do, enable to true, then we need to have host. So we won't be able to have a look at this chart example.local. So what I have done is I have mapped a domain, as you can see, a sample.com to my local host. Okay, so when I go to local sample.com, it will be showing local things. All right, now let's try to add that to our host. Host would be sample.com. So ingress, with the help of ingress, you will be able to map your domain host. Path would be just slash path type. We will keep this as prefix here. Okay, now let's try to implement this. So the implementation has been completed, and now you will be able to go to sample.com and see that our application is running. Okay, let's try to have a look at our ingress. So the ingress is running right now. Okay, and the host is sample.com on port 80. Now let's upgrade the chart. Okay, so instead of installing, I will just disable the ingress. And instead of installing, it will be upgrade. So when you check the revision, the version has been updated to version 2. All right, and let's see if the ingress is there. So as you can see, there are no ingresses present in our kube cluster right now. Okay, let's do Helm rollback to the previous version. Version would be 1. Revision. So the rollback was done. Now let's check have a ingress. So again, the ingress is present because we roll back to the previous version in which the ingress was enabled. Okay, so this is how you can install a chart, delete a chart, upgrade the chart, and roll back the chart. Also, we also had a look at how to add the repo. All right. So now what we will do, first let me delete this. So now we'll be creating our own chart. Okay. So first let's have a look at the app that I have. So I have a Java app in which there's a simple controller which will give me hello world when I navigate to API /API/hello. So let's run this. That will be localhost 8080/API/hello. Yeah, so my app runs. Okay, so this is the basic app that we'll be covering. So if I was not using Helm Chat, how would I deploy things, deploy my deployment and services? So I have something called deployment at YAML. Okay, so what this will do, let's just have a look at this file and then we will convert this into a Helm template. So the kind will be deployment, the metadata, the replicas will be 2, so there will be 2 pods created, the name will be hello. So this is my container. This is the sample Java image which I have installed in my local Docker. Okay, so this is the Docker file which will be deployed in my local Docker container, and that will be taken by this deployment file. The image pull policy will be never in the local case, but if you are using in a Google or AWS Kubernetes cluster, then it will be something like always or if not present. Okay, so right now we'll keep it as never because we'll always have it in my local Docker, and this will be service. So my app, so in the select the type of the deployment will be service. The name of the service will be service 1. The type of the service will be node port. Selector app. So this is where I will be linking to my existing app. So this is hello, which will be linked to this app. Okay. And I'll be exposing port 80 and port 443. Right now only port 80 will be working because we don't have any SSL setup in our local host. So we'll be just focusing on port 80. Okay. So now let's create a Helm chart. So Helm create the name of the chart. Let's keep it as sample chart, or let's just sample. So my chart was created. Now let's have a look at the chart. Sorry, it was some different directory. Let's create the chart. Okay. So the chart has been created here. So let's go to the chart.yaml. Okay. So this file will contain everything like name of the chart, description, type of the chart, which will be application in our case, version, and the app version that I'll be using. That is a Spring, Java Spring version I'll be using. Now let's go to templates. So these are the template file. Let's just clear which the things we don't need right now. So I don't need HPA, that is horizontal. Then let's just delete service account as well. Okay, now I think I don't need ingress for now, we'll create it later. Okay, now let's have a look at the notes.txt. So this file will show everything once the chart has been installed. So let's just clear this one right now and keep it as your chart has been installed. Okay, so whenever we install the chart, this will be the output. Okay, so our all the Kubernetes YAML file will lie inside the templates. This chart folder or directory you see, that is for the dependency charts that we will put. So how we can include dependency chart is using dependencies over here. Okay, so name of the chart, that is anything like hello, then there will be something called repository from which the chart will come. So similarly, we can have dependencies over here, and that dependencies will be inside the charts folder. Okay, so let's not do anything with this thing right now, and straight away go to values. So these are the values which the Helm provides by default. Okay, let's just have a look at the image right now. So image, the repository is ngix, pull policy is if not present, and tag. Now let's see how this is used in the deployment template. Okay, so the initial things are very recognizable, as you have already seen. Now let's have a look at the image part, which is here. Okay, so they have used image, so values image repository, which is again image values image repositories. Okay, but instead of having a look at this, let's try to create something of our own. Okay, so let's do something like deployment, and also let's just delete this whole part of the template and copy this one here. Okay, now let's go to the values page and name something like deployment. This could be whatever you want. Let's keep name, so name will be hello. Okay, so let's go to deployment and change this to the values. So that would be dot values dot deployment dot name. So yeah, so now this part is referencing to the values that we have over here. Okay, now let's change the other part. So replicas, so now let's put replica here, replica to 1. Okay, so let's also change this part, dot values dot deployment dot replica. For the name part, again let's just use this one itself. Again for this also let's use the same part, and the container also we'll use the same part. Now let's take a look at the image. So for image, let's do image name, that would be this one. Then image pull policy, let's put it never for now. Okay, now let's update this values over here. I forgot to save this. Image dot name. Alright. Similarly, we'll replace the policy Yeah, so the initial part has been covered. Now let's have a look at the ports. So a container port, which will be 8080. Now let's put the environment variables. These are just for the purpose of learning. It's not used anywhere in the app. Okay. So what we will do is we will go to deployment, and here in the environment part we'll do something like to YAML, right, values dot deployment dot env. So this will convert this whole values to YAML. Okay, so the deployment part has been completed. Now let's change the service according to our requirement. First, let's see what this include sample.fullname means. Okay, there is something called helpers.tpl. All right, so this file has a basic functions which we might require, we might use it. Okay, we can also create our own functions over here by combining the values, everything. So in the service part, let's try to use something called sample.fullname. All right, so this has been defined. This is service. Okay, so as you can see, they have already like included the service name using the helper function, that is sample.fullname. This will be truncated to 63 characters because Kubernetes has a limit, so they have used trunc 63. All right, there are lots of other methods. For example, let's have a look. There is also if case. So there is a if case, then there is something called range. All right, so in range works more or less like a while loop or array. Okay, there are plenty of this which you can find in Golang template because they are using this thing right here. All right, this n intent you see is the number of intent you want to keep this value after. All right, so let's count the intent as 1 1 2 3 4. So this value will be kept over here. Okay, so that's why that is intent 4. All right, now let's make some changes to the values. Okay, so for service I'll declare another name of the service will be service 1, or let's just keep it the sample itself, labels will be the same. Type of the service, so let's just define the type, so that will be node port. Then target port, which will be 8080 in our case. So let's add target port here. Then let's add port also, that is 80. Port has already been added. Okay, target port we have added. All right, selectors, let's just skip it for now. So this was the very basic implementation of Helm. We have created the first Helm chart. Let's have a look. Helm template sample. So we have a error. So let's have a look why it is giving. Okay, so I think we have included this in a wrong manner. Let's just cut this and put it here. And we also need to have the intent values, that is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. All right, so I think the environment value should follow after this part. So the intent value should be 12 in this case. So Helm template, this command will give you the template that it has created. Okay, so yeah, now we are able to see the template. So this is the deployment template, which is this part. You can confirm it if it is matching the values that you have provided and if it's working properly or not. Okay, and let's also have a look at the service part, which is this one. This all the labels that is added by Helm itself. So port, not port, yeah, everything seems to be working. Now let's try to deploy this. So Helm install. Let's keep the name as sample demo, and where it is lying inside sample repo. Okay, so let's just try to install this one. I think the value which we have given is wrong in the service, so let's just correct this one. Okay, and delete demo. Yeah, so the notes which we provided in the notes.txt folder has been deployed over here. Okay, now let's see our Kubernetes cluster get all. So the name of our deployment, that is hello, has been deployed. The service is sample demo. That this was created with the help of helper file, that is sample.fullname. Okay, so that is sample hello. All right, so yeah, our app is running right now. But when I go to localhost, nothing will show up because we need to include ingress. Okay, because we don't have any kind of load balancer, as the service we have is of type node port or cluster IP. If the service was type load balancer, we would have been able to use it with the help of localhost itself. Let's do one thing. Let's try to override the value, that is hem upgrade sample demo, the name of the chart that we gave while installing. Then set, let's go to values, that will be service dot type. Okay, here it will be load balancer. Yeah, so the revision 2, the service has been deployed. So now the type of the service is load balance here. Okay, let's try to access this from localhost. So it looks like we are still not able to access the app. Let's see what the problem is. So the service is of type load balancer, the external IP is localhost. Okay, let's have a look at the service. So now the issue is we are not able to tell the service that for which app this service has been defined. So let's add the selector here, then app. So in this case, the app is values.deployment.name. Okay, so let's just take this part and put it here, and let's do upgrade. Hem upgrade sample demo sample. Yeah. Now let's see if we are able to access it. Yeah. So now we are able to access our app. So this is how we can deploy the Helm chart that we created. Let's see the list of Helm. So currently we have one Helm chart deployed, the revision. Okay. So yeah, these are the very basics for creating a Helm chart. There are lots of functions that we can check. All right, let's do a simple here. let's keep if the service is enabled or not. Let's keep it false for now. We can have a if check here, that is if. All right, the condition that is dot values dot service dot enabled. If this is enabled, then and then only show this template. So template sample. So we can see that there is no template for services because it has been disabled. Okay, set value so when I do the service enabled true, now we are able to see the template of service as well. So that's it. Thank you guys.